So let's take a quantitative look at this problem. As you can see, we have these objects orbiting Peter. And so what do we know about these objects? Well, if you take a close look at the video, maybe not even that close of a look, hopefully you can tell that it takes about 2 seconds between and So we know that it takes about 2 seconds for this television to orbit Peter. And since all of the objects are orbiting at the same speed, all of the objects have a period of about 2 seconds. Now, you may not be able to tell very well, but it appears that these objects are approximately 0.8 meters in their radius. And so what we're curious about here is that it doesn't really look like they're almost a meter away from him, so why am I calling it 0.8 meters? Well, the answer is maybe a little confusing and not necessarily intuitive, but when we measure orbital radius, we actually measure from the center of the body, what these objects are rotating around. So the center of Peter is approximately 0.8 meters from each of these objects that's orbiting him. Now, using those two numbers, we want to go ahead and determine the speed of this book, or this glass, or this television. And so the equation that we're going to use for that is, as you can see here, the speed of each of these objects will be 2 times pi times that orbital radius we just defined, and divided all that by the orbital period. So if you pay any attention to this, hopefully you recognize that 2 times pi times radius is, in fact, the formula for circumference. So what we're seeing here is that you have a circumference, or in this case, an orbit, a distance that these objects travel, divided by the time it takes for them to make one complete orbit of Peter. And so this gives us our orbital speed. So if we plug in our values of 0.8 meters for that radial distance and 2 seconds for the orbital period, we should have a setup that looks as follows. That v, the speed, is equal to 2 times pi times the 0.8 meters divided by the period of 2 seconds. So after a little bit of calculator time, hopefully you will find that the orbital speed of each of these objects is approximately 2.5 meters per second.